Hello YouTube, this is Ben Gessel. So this is going to be a little bit different video. Again, one of my kind of just miscellaneous ones. This one's called, well, basically we'll be talking in this video about martial arts a little bit, as well as connections with music performance. So martial arts connected with music performance, and also how the two connect with uh, spirituality, morality. Good and evil and self-mastery and all that stuff. Uh, Being a master of one's own emotions and everything. But some of what I say is going to touch on a number of different things. You'll have to bear with me. This is a little bit less organized, but okay. I'm just going to start out with this video talking a bit about my experience with martial arts. It's kind of limited, but it'll make sense as I go. I think it should. And I have a lot more experience, of course, with music performance as I'm a musician myself. But I know where this is going to end up, and we're going to end up kind of talking about all the questions about which martial artists are the best and who can beat up who, that sort of thing. Yeah. So here's just to explain kind of where I'm coming here from. Okay, martial arts, as you know, martial arts. It's the study. It's the art. It's the art of martial, military. In Eastern Asia, defending oneself, combat, right? Physical combat, martial, but it's an art form. By art, we're not talking about it's not a science, right? Although there's many scientific aspects to martial arts, of course. You can approach it more scientifically, I suppose. Especially when it comes to things like how do you make your bones tougher? You beat them, you beat them, and strike them really hard at stuff, and they do get stronger, right? That's scientific, but the folks, of course, from ancient times didn't really understand it necessarily scientifically. You couldn't really, but they knew it worked because it worked. But in art, an art involves something creative. We'll say, in general, the arts are creative, not necessarily imaginative. That involves the word image or something. Imagination is more, I think, connected with creative writing, art, and perhaps music composition, that sort of thing. But at least martial arts are somewhat creative, or they're open-ended, right? There's more than one way of fighting, or there's more than one way of defending oneself, more than one way of even using weapons, that sort of thing. So, but yeah, we're talking about combat, martial arts. We're talking about, and there's more to it, of course, because martial arts are connected with East Asia. We're also talking about East Asian philosophy and spirituality and all these kinds of things, combined with physical rigor of being a warrior, being a martial artist. Right. Okay, so I understand many things, and there's many other things that I understand, and I hopefully will understand in the future. I had a brief karate class when I was a little boy, just very brief. I've had definitely a little more exposure to, we'll say, Southeast Asian martial arts. When I studied with MKG martial arts, I haven't done it for a while. I might get back to it in the future. Did Muay Thai for a bit, Filipino stick fighting a bit, and then touched on a few other things, a little bit of Jeet Kune Do, but mainly Muay Thai, and it was hard, and it was unrelenting, and there was a lot of I was spent at the end. Toward the end, I was just totally spent, and there's a lot to. I mean, I would say it's a lot like doing martial arts as an adult, or doing it for not necessarily. I wouldn't say for real, but really when you're having martial arts as a kid, it's not as much for real. But then of course it's not just an age thing. There are many dojos, martial arts dojos, that don't really prepare you, right? they don't really, they're not really combat oriented. They're not really. It's kind of it's a kind of a watered down version of. Basically, a lot of martial arts are just trying to avoid lawsuits by people getting hurt, right? So they're really not. I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say. What I'm trying to say is, okay, there are dojos. They're called McDojos, right? And they just, of course of course they have very minimal. Expose people to real contact, right? Hard contact. And most places don't. Vast majority actually don't. Even the ones that aren't, 99% of all dojos don't really do that for a number of reasons. But the thing about making a dojo, of course, is that you progress in belt color or whatever much quicker than you should. But more especially, they don't really involve a lot of conditioning, which is extremely important. And they also don't, they're lax on their standards. But more than all that, there's something else. Yeah, it's. I don't know. Anyway, it's hard to keep my thoughts straight here because there's a lot of different things that are involved here. But what I did was definitely for real. But um, um, it's if you're really studying martial arts, it's a lot like being involved in sports in when you're younger, or college, or just it's like you will feel like you have been wrestling. If you're in wrestling or boxing or anything like anything really hard and rigorous, it's gonna feel like that times two, or at least two. Muay Thai is yeah, it's yeah, it's crazy. And then as long as there's many other martial arts, but if it's real martial arts, you're gonna feel that way. You're gonna feel spent. You're gonna feel completely exhausted. If you don't, something is wrong. Um, or you could be in extraordinary shape, but just not really working very hard. Um, yeah, I mean, so yeah, so of course, with regard to striking power and when do you spar, I was told, of course, I had those questions when I was starting out. It's something where the farther you go in martial arts, the more your body toughens up naturally. Your bones toughen up, everything toughens up, so you can actually safely, even with equipment. We have equipment on, of course, but if you get to a black belt level in real martial arts, you can have some power behind what you do, and you're not going to hurt the other person. They're not going to hurt you, but you generally don't. You generally don't do that because why do that when you could get just as much. You can learn just as much. You can get just as much out of light contact. So, but yeah, you can put some more power into what you're doing when you get very advanced. But before you need to get to that point first. If you're not there at that point, you can get hurt. Beginners, intermediates, even. And so that's one of the things I learned. At least this is the case with adults. When you're kids, kids can't really hurt each other very much, but adults have a lot more power, and so we have to be very careful. If we're very considerate to the person, but we also want to get better at martial arts. So we need how do you do that? Well, you start out, using pads, and you always use pads, but you start out, you always use light contact if you're sparring, and the farther you go, again, you generally have that light contact when you're sparring, but you can use like medium-ish contact when you get to a certain point without the other person. Most likely, the person probably won't get hurt, but you'll be forcing to agree to that. But you probably wouldn't use full contact. You probably wouldn't go full contact unless you're talking about two masters and their bodies are built like tanks or something, or they're just bones, or it's hard as dying. I don't know, bones like rocks. Until you get to that point, it's very dangerous to go full contact. But of course, in a street fight, of course, yeah, I get that. In a street fight, though, people can get seriously. I mean, it's wrong. Fighting is wrong. You study martial arts so that you can defend yourself. right? You don't study martial arts so you can beat people up. If you do that, uh, well, I hope that I hope you really are considering what actually happens if you seriously hurt someone. you know, Michael J. White said he studied martial arts so he can beat people up. Of course, I understand what he's saying. He's not saying he wasn't never saying he's gonna be a bully. He was just saying, "Hey, I'll be a tough guy." Sure, of course. But I think we were getting into that. But people study martial arts so they can get tougher. Sure, of course, absolutely, or they can know how to fight. Sure, or they can, but what because you get to a point where, of course, everyone knows this. This is going to tie in my other thoughts here. Whether it's martial arts or music, which I'm about to talk about it here a bit more, the idea of getting to a higher level, more advanced level, eventually get however high you get, however good you get at something. Especially talking here about sports, I say gymnastics, martial arts, yeah, all the physical things as well as music performance. I include dance as well, all these kinds of things. If it's physically rigorous, or if it's a physical, has some kind of real taxing kind of thing, hand-eye coordination, all that stuff. This is one thing. All these exercises can help someone become more humble or spiritual, but it isn't an end in itself. And again, I'll mention this will be more clear here in a bit, I hope. But so martial arts are a means to an end. They're a means to master one's own emotions, such as fear. Is it reasonable to be afraid of someone who's 7 feet tall and 300 pounds, solid muscle? He's charging at you. Yeah, that's pretty reasonable to be afraid at that point if they're coming after you, right? Imagine this guy who's just enormous. He's mad at you. He's yeah, yeah. So the degree to which you have mastery over fear, that's very connected with martial arts. And because if you have mastery over fear, you'll know how to handle that situation. I would definitely not want to handle that situation. Of course, hand to hand, I would probably be looking for, okay, he's charging at me. What can I do to save my own life? Because if he hits me, it might be like game over. He might hit me so hard that I might be dead. Right? That kind of, there's people. There is that side. The side to combat. Some people are just naturally they're going to be so powerful physically and big that you know that they're just out of your league, right? That way. So you have to handle it some other way. And how do you handle that situation? That's also martial arts, right? So yeah. So it's yeah. But we're talking about some potentially very dark subjects. So there's some things I learned, but it felt a little bit like being in the military. A little bit. I wouldn't know because I wasn't in the military. But if I was in the military, I know it would be a little bit more like that, where you're so tired sometimes, things get kind of dizzy, and you have to keep going, right? You have to keep going. It's a mind game, right? It's like cross country. If you've ever run, cross country, it's a similar thing or wrestling. Someone's got you, and you're like, oh my gosh, sweaty, and trying to these are all very hard things, exhausting. This is the kind of thing that makes you want to eat 3 or 4 eggs in the morning, and then like some chicken, and then bread, and then vegetables, and then some juice, and then maybe something else, and then that's all for breakfast. And you're burning through these calories, So it's this is what I'm talking about. Very, very physically taxing kinds of things. Or swimming is very similar. You're just exhausted. It is so good for you, but it also is a question of how you go about it. I learned, for instance, as martial arts, it isn't the martial art necessarily always that is more or less effective. It's true. Some martial arts are more effective than others, depending on the situation. I learned, for instance, things like, your gun is your best friend, but nobody wants to gun unless you're going to shoot it. After guns or weapons, three kinds of weapons, and also a question of how to use them. So guns, weapons, and then after that point you get to hand to hand. The best thing is actually grappling. So that's something I still want to do in the future. But I know it's more effective. But after grappling is like wrestling. It's like it's odd, close, pinning someone down, the arm bar thing, or yeah. So But after that are things like Muay Thai and boxing and things like that, where you're talking about striking power. Um, of course, karate and taekwondo and all these things are almost in that range. It just depends. Kyokushin karate is Michael J. White. Okay, yeah, so it's more full contact. It's yeah. So yeah. So but the least, I mean, I don't think Aikido's kind of weird. But then there's like after that is all the fruity stuff. I would say fruity because it's just simply less effective, right? And there are videos out there. You can see them. People in the armed forces. One guy in particular, I think, is very straightforward about the most effective martial arts and what to do. Yeah, that's what he said. Guns are the most effective deterrent against getting hurt. But you need to know how to use them, and you need to be ready to use them, and you won't ever want to use them unless you have to. Guns, then weapons, then grappling, then things like Muay Thai, and I also forgot things. There's also Krav Maga. Yeah, so, and but then you eventually get to the fruitiest. Nobody does. The flying crescent roundhouse kick, the half twist. It's good in movies, but yeah, that's why I use it in movies because it looks really cool. But just elbow strikes, nice solid punch, really powerful kick. Those are the main things what you're going to want to do. And in martial arts, you go through all this conditioning. You go through. There's some series of things you do, but with what I was doing, we weren't doing katas, which is still fine. You just katas, you actually get to the point where you speed those things up to get more second nature. We did a little bit of that stuff, some combination things, combination strikes and things. But a lot of what we're doing was kind of balance related. I felt like I was getting better at just balancing, like being able to kick really a really powerful kick, good kick. While I was, improving my balance, and also flexibility. There's flexibility, there's balance, there's conditioning. This is all martial arts again. Okay, so how does this connect to spirituality and morality and all that stuff? And this is again what a lot of people from Asia are trying to explain. and there's one gentleman I think was very upset with Michael J. White that I've seen. And a lot of things that came through very clearly. I think he is very, he's not so open to discussing this. I mean, in a way, it seemed like he had made up his mind, and I understood where he's coming from. There are a lot of folks from Asia, China, other places that are very upset with the way things have been in the rest of the world with martial arts and how the rest of the world, they feel like they're not very respectful to martial arts came from Asia, and the rest of the world is kind of trying to hijack martial arts from them. And that makes a lot of sense. For instance, classical music, you have classical music from East Asia and India, and there's probably a few other places that have richer, we'll say, art music or serious music from the past. But really, mostly when we're talking about classical music, we're talking about Europe. And so, say there's this rich heritage we have of music from Europe, and so, as it happens nowadays, a lot of people that are involved in classical music or writing it or whatever, they're not European, right? So, is it disrespectful to European composers and nationalities and things when you have people that are it seems like they're kind of trying to take classical music and make it their own? Or is that what East Asians are doing? No, not really. We all understand. Look, it's not like that. And the reason I mention that is that I have my own ideas regarding martial arts in Asia. So it's a little different, but it's similar. But it is a little different. See, the thing is that with martial arts in Asia, it's very, very connected with religion. We'll just call it religion, but more kind of against like a philosophical religion. Eastern religions are very life is religion, right? Or your philosophy. There's not like it's not like a book of scripture. It's not like a church necessarily. Well, either they're temples, but it's the whole idea is very different than in the West. So martial arts are kind of treated more like, in a way, yeah, more like almost like church. It's there is a spiritual aspect to everything that they're doing in martial arts. Um, Everything and all about the chi thing, but basically it's um, well, Bruce Lee said it himself. Martial arts is just is expressing yourself, it's truly expressing yourself, right? It is truly expressing yourself, and we talk a lot of times in my church. We talk all the time about we need to be honest, we need to be people of integrity. We need to truly express ourselves in order to. And the thing is, we can all express ourselves, but the question is, are we being true? That's the word truth. Are you being true to yourself? Are you being true to other people? Are you truly expressing your true self? You have to think about that, right? Oh, I can express myself. Wait. Are you expressing who you really are, or something you just saw on TV, or something else, or something evil, or something? Is it really you that you are expressing? Or you think it is, but is it really? Oh, martial arts, yeah. Instead of talking, it is expressing yourself when you're right martial arts. How do you do that? Well, with maybe like it's like dance, just um, more martial, right? It's military. I don't think people that study martial arts necessarily want to hurt someone. No, I think it's really we want to be able to defend ourselves. But I think it's kind of it's a combination of things. It is satisfying to wail on a bully, sure. At the same time, you feel regret. You always do, for having hurt someone, even if you were in the right. You regret the fact that they're hurt, and sometimes you regret it certainly very much more if you could have avoided, fighting. And so a lot of martial arts don't really involve the other person getting hurt. They just involve the diffusing a situation, pinning someone without hurting them. All that stuff. That's just why people like Aikido and stuff. Yeah, I know. Or wrestling is very appealing that way because you don't strike someone really hard. Okay, so many different tangents to go on this, but I'm trying to keep this straight here with martial arts. Um, in essence, the reason why people are upset with Michael J. White and saying he could beat Bruce Lee and that sort of thing, well, it's Michael was simply looking at he's a big guy, Bruce is a smaller guy. They both know about the same amount of martial arts. They're both masters. Michael J. White's an 8th degree black belt in Kyokushin karate, amongst some other things. And Bruce Lee is they're definitely extremely knowledgeable. Equivalent of 10th degree probably, black belt Jeet Kune Do and Kung Fu and Wing Chun. Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do, and his probably other things as well. Western boxing and fencing. They're both pretty well rounded, especially Bruce Lee. They're both in phenomenal shape, but Bruce Lee probably especially much more in phenomenal shape. I mean, the guy really pushed himself. A lot of us don't know the meaning of hard work until we see how hard that guy worked his body. That Bruce Lee was insane. So because of that, yes, Mike's a bigger guy. He's possibly more in a way. I don't think he's more powerful, but he certainly has a lot of muscle. He's big. But like Bull Young, just taller and bigger, a little bit big. But Bruce Lee is really stinking tough. So I don't believe Michael J. White. It depends on, of course. Here's the funny thing is, of course, it depends on how old we're talking about. Both guys in their 20s, 30s, 40s. Well, Bruce Lee didn't really live that long, I don't think. He died pretty young. I don't remember when he died, but I don't think he was 40 quite yet. Yeah. So, it was the age thing. and you see where I'm going here. It doesn't matter. And this is what, if Chuck Norris was here, if he was talking right now, he would say, that's what he would say ultimately. This would say, it does and doesn't. It's one thing to know that someone's a master of a martial art. You know that someone's a master when they are really stinking good. I mean, really good, and they know what they're doing, and it's second nature to them, and they can teach it. But they're also so good at it that they can, defend themselves or defeat black belts, advanced folks. They can teach black belts. That's a master, right? A master. So, but Chuck would say, it doesn't really matter if Michael or Bruce would beat each other. We know Michael Jai White's bigger. We can probably say with certainty that Bruce Lee was probably in better condition. Yeah. Just in the end, it doesn't matter. Why doesn't it matter? Well, before I get to that, again, I'm going to talk about music performance here in a sec. Now, I mentioned all these things about martial arts. Music performance is very, very physically demanding as well, but in a very different way. It doesn't involve bigger muscles as much. It doesn't involve running or stretching, with the big muscles. It doesn't involve combat, right? It involves music and playing, whether it's piano with your fingers and your wrists and your arm weight and all that stuff. It's a physical dimension to it, but it's a little bit different if you're playing strings, of course. Of course, different when you're playing percussion, different when you're playing wind instruments. Myself, I play French horn. Every instrument's a little different physically and also intellectually, musically. All kinds of differences. So, but to get to, again, a higher level of ability, it tests you. It's hard. It's not easy. There's different aptitudes. You have different natural aptitudes for things, and we should pursue those things that we're naturally better at in life. But for both martial arts and music, we'll say, and other things too, dance and learning, it should humble you. It should humble someone. Say, oh, it's hard, therefore I feel sad, or I feel it's discouraging, or it's not easy to get better. So you feel humble. You're like, oh, I'm not that great, but I can get better. You should keep a positive outlook on things. But again, it's not easy. Definitely, sometimes it's extremely difficult. Sometimes it's almost impossible. So you feel like you can improve, but you just try to keep doing better. But there are means to an end. There are means to improve in one's character. Character. That's what I'm talking about with spirituality and morality. I'm talking about character in this, and talking about our eternal welfare, right? Inside souls. They're means to an end because they should improve character, because they're hard. They tax our spirit. It's a spiritual thing. When you're picking weeds, the ability of the tenacity, right, to stay with it in the hot sun and pick weeds for 3 or 4 hours straight. There's bees around, the mosquitoes, and you get blisters, and picking very annoying weeds that have prickers on them, and you're thinking, oh, I don't want to be here. I want to do something else. That's hard. The sun's beating down, 80 degrees, 90 degrees. It's really stinking hard, right? Oh, it's miserable. Who wants to do, But it does, your character does improve when you have those experiences. It does, even if you don't think it does, it does. It does. So that's what we're talking about with martial arts and music. And the Asians are trying to say martial arts, when you understand it right, you say, well, it should improve your character. And so that's why they're critical, again, folks. They believe, Michael Jai White's fine. He's fine. But he's got, again, I'm talking in circles here. People got to get on him because they feel like he's disrespecting Bruce Lee because he said he could beat Bruce Lee. Some people. Well, Michael Jai White, we know it's fine if he thinks he can do that. And even if he could, what does it really matter? Bruce Lee was a complete master of himself. We know this. It it's evident. He had control over his temper. He had control over his body. Especially, at least we can see that he was so disciplined that he kept at his physical regimen of training his body every single day. Um, he he had extremely high level of self mastery, and that's what we're talking about. That's what it's all for. Bruce Lee was a smaller guy. Many of us are smaller. We're shorter. We're not as big. Michael Jai is a bigger guy. Whether you're smaller or bigger, whether you're faster or slower, whether you're more leaner or fatter, it doesn't really matter. In a sense, we probably should be leaner, of course, but it doesn't ultimately. The thing that really matters is your character, is self-mastery. None of us want to be a slave to any of our appetites or to our temper or to, we want to have control over our body. We want to have our body serve our soul. That's what martial arts is all about. And music ultimately is going that same direction. It really is. Because, and I would say the arts in general should serve, it should serve that purpose as well. As it's a means to an end. If you can go a different direction, you can go in a non-spiritual direction, but why do that? I mean, it ultimately, even if you think something isn't helping you spiritually, it is or it isn't. The very, very few things that are truly gray or amoral, in a sense. Sometimes I said that science is amoral. Okay, but if you really think about it hard enough, it's the question of what you do with that science, of the technology, and then you get into good and evil. Yeah. So okay, just a little bit more on music performance. So music performance, the better you get, the more it should be a growth kind of thing. You're growing as a person. It should make one humble, and if it doesn't, it often makes someone very arrogant. It's kind of like this. If the martial arts, or music, or dance, or sports, or whatever, basketball, if it doesn't help someone spiritually, and it was really kind of designed, or all these things are here to help us, but if it doesn't help us, then what happens ultimately? Well, what happens is no matter what glory, no matter what honors, first place, whatever, someone has in this life, the grim, honest truth is that they can take their skills with them, skill level, after they die. But you can't take your awards, you can't take your first place, you can't take your degrees, you can't take any of that stuff. Just the skills you gain, and also the character you gain. So if a person is still arrogant and they're still petty and mean and all these things, they're going to take that with them as well. And it ultimately hurts someone when they don't grow as a person. They don't grow spiritually. When they work on these kind of things that involve practice, right? Practicing a martial art, practicing music, practicing dance, practicing sports. They should all help you become a better person. And again, if they don't, the person that loses out is that person who doesn't let that skill help them become a better person. So this is really the answer. This is really the answer that people are looking for. Whether they're asking, why is it that this really elite musician or martial artist, why are they a jerk? Why do they treat me poorly? I thought better of. I want to be this. I want to be this great musician. I want to be this great composer. I want to be this great martial artist. I want to be this great soccer player. I want to be this great pop singer. I want whatever. And then I met this person. They were not. I didn't like. They were rude. They were mean. People have those experiences, right? Well, the acting maybe it can be this way. In a way, sure. I would include acting depending on Yeah. Okay, sure. But but yeah, I mean, so why weren't they the person that I thought they would be? Well, it's because that person didn't let their abilities help them become a better person. Because they decided, you know what, I am I don't need this character stuff. I'm gonna just push it away and just focus on just what I'm interested in, just the craft, right? And then what happens is that person gets to the point in this life, the next life, they realize, you know what, I I messed up, and everyone's gonna come to that point sooner or later. Um, you know, maybe it's a small mess up, maybe it's a bigger one, maybe we can't measure it, or maybe we shouldn't. Maybe only God understands those things, but fully. But um, so in a way, this video is kind of for everyone. It's a lot of what I'm saying is for not only the Asians to kind of help them feel a little bit more, a little less. I don't know, give them more perspective, perhaps, on some things. It's definitely for people that also. It's for everyone, and it's for people that aspire to be, really great martial artists or musicians or dancers. Don't get discouraged when you have people that you admire that are not the people they should be, because they simply haven't. They've tried to push away the sides to what they're doing that will help them become better people. They've pushed that away. So to some degree they have, even if it's a smaller degree, and it's that person's fault, and they need to repent. They need to change, and without having known those people, I apologize on behalf of them. I don't know if I can do that, but sometimes that kind of situation can be very, very discouraging to the point of not even pursuing something that you want to pursue anymore. I know this is especially the case with music. If you study with someone and they are extremely, they you feel personally humiliated, even if you haven't prepared very well for the lesson, or you might feel any number of different kinds of personal, just kind of attacks. And sometimes it can be brutal enough that someone can just stop pursuing whatever they're pursuing. You say, "Oh, that person that stopped pursuing that person's in, that they made a mistake because they let something like that get to them, and we need to be tough." Well, no. That's not no. When someone attacks someone, personally, even if they say, "Oh, I didn't mean any personal," when someone attacks someone personally, they really go after someone, right? And the person's very distraught, and they make that person feel terrible. How can you say it's the other person's fault? It's definitely the person who is attacking that person's fault. From a spiritual standpoint, from any standpoint. This is, we're not operating by New York City rules here. It isn't the strong prey upon the weak. That might be the case in this life. You might have people that are very, very strong and tough and skilled that seem like they're on top. There will come a point in time when that's no longer the case. And when that happens, who can we blame? What's the excuse gonna be? What's the line of thought gonna be? Well, I had this time to improve, and I treated people poorly if they were not as skilled as I was, or I tried to teach them, but I was. What can people say? I beat up this person because I was stronger than them, because I knew more about martial arts, or both. I had better poise. I had better control over my emotions. So I beat him up. I disrespected that person. Imagine looking at God and saying that. But you couldn't look at God and say that and not be afraid. And I do mean fear in the deepest sense of the word. So, yeah. Let me know if you guys have know your thoughts and comments below. And I know this goes a little deeper. The subject goes very deep, so I might just put this under a spiritual kind of playlist. So I'll talk to you guys later.